Hello folks, in this one we're looking at some of the most common car scams that are around at the moment. This can be anything from buying a car, selling a car, to even things from the DVLA. So keep watching this one because there are some useful bits of information in here. Some of them you'll know, some of them you won't. So quite a common one at the moment is you get a text message from the DVLA saying that you're due a tax refund because you paid the incorrect amount. You go in, pop in your bank details and what have you, and it says you'll get the refund within 3 to 5 days. They don't do that, okay? Forget it, it's a scam, move on. Don't even click the link. Now there are a couple of really common ones now that happen when people are coming to look at your car. They'll often turn up mob-handed. 2 or 3 blokes will appear to come and have a look at your car, and they'll use a bit of distraction. Quite often one of them will ask you about something in the boot, or they might ask to go and see the service history. One of them's got his head under the bonnet, and there's a couple of things they'll do. They might pull a wire out of somewhere so that you get a fault light come up on the dash. They might slit a hose, causing a small oil leak in the car, and one that's becoming increasingly common is people putting oil in the coolant reservoir. Just a bit of oil, and of course it makes the car smoke like anything. And then with all of these things, they want a significant discount on the car. They're usually very dodgy car traders that are looking to get a car as cheaply as possible, and then obviously they know exactly what's wrong with it, so they can repair it really cheaply and then go and flog it on at full retail. So be very wary about people coming to look at the car in groups. Another thing that happens occasionally is a few people will turn up to look at the car. They talk you into letting them take it out for a test drive without you, and they just nick the catalytic converter off it or something like that. So be very wary when selling your car privately. Obviously one way to avoid that is to use something like We Buy Any Car. You might not get as much money for the car, but there's far less risk for you. Car cloning is something that's become rife in this country. Usually the criminal takes a salvage or stolen car. Say for example it's a 2018 blue Ford Focus. They then find a blue Ford Focus 2018, same model, same line. They'll use that registration number. They'll then get a new V5 for it and either sell the car or use it for illegal activity, things like ram raids and stuff like that. And of course you have the police turn up on your doorstep, or you suddenly get a load of speeding fines through the post, and these are all being committed by someone else. Another sign that a car may be cloned or not what it seems is that the address on the V5 is not the one you picked the car up from, or secondly, you arrive at the address that's on the V5 and the seller meets you outside. At no point do you go to the front door and do they come out. It's another big red flag. If you do arrive at someone's house and the address is the correct one and everything else, a really good way of checking if it's their property or not is by just asking to pop in and use the loo. If they refuse, there's probably a bit of a warning sign there. Most people don't have a problem with you popping in for a Jimmy Riddle. You'll also find people that want to meet you in a pub car park or something like that. Don't ever buy a car from anywhere other than the address listed on the V5. Now there is no way of preventing your car from being cloned. Absolutely no way. But what you can do is take steps to make sure you don't buy a cloned car. And an easy way to do that is to check the VIN number on the V5 registration document against the VIN number on the car, and also do a V-check car history check, link to that in the video description, and double check the VIN number against that to make sure everything's as it should be. Next one is clocking, where people adjust the mileage to give the car an artificially lower mileage than it's actually got. There are different ways to go about this. I've touched on this in other videos. An easy one again is to do an MOT history check or do a V-check and look at the mileage that's been recorded every year at MOTs, and you'll also see mileage when the car was bought and sold if it was input at that time. The V-check record is generally a bit more comprehensive than the MOT record. The MOT record's free, the full V-check's about a tenner. Also look at things like if it's a low mileage car but the seat's worn out and the leather on the steering wheel's a bit worn. If the service history's not very good. If you see a service book just with loads of stamps in, it means absolutely nothing. You want receipts as well. Worst case scenario, if you've just got stamps, you call those dealerships and see if they can verify any of the servicing. Because as I showed in another video, which I'll put a link to up there, service history is very easy to forge. You'll often see deals on things like eBay and Gumtree and they're too good to be true, and the person says, that's fine, you can have it for that price, but I've got loads of interest. Someone just called me 5 minutes ago and I've got another one ringing me now. You'll have to pay for it now and you can come and pick it up this afternoon or tomorrow or something like that. It will always be a scam. And when you see a car car for sale that's half the price of everything else, it's a scam. One of the best bits of advice is things that appear to be too good to be true are always too good to be true. The last one is the good old money laundering scam, which happens all the time. If you put anything for sale on Gumtree, chances are you're going to get one of these messages within a week of listing it, and it's where someone says that they don't want to see the car, they'll pay you now for it. Sometimes they'll even offer to pay you more than you've asked for it because they just want an easy transaction. And then you just need to pass the car over to their shipping agent when he arrives. Now what will happen is they'll transfer you the money either from a bank account fraudulently, or they'll be using a stolen credit card. The car then gets collected and taken away, and then suddenly you're left with contact from either the bank or the credit card company or the police, informing you that that money should not have gone to you, it was taken fraudulently and they'd like to have it back. There are some variations on that, but that's the general gist of things. I hope you found this one useful, folks. Please, if you're buying a car, use VCheck. It's just silly not to. The top VCheck's $9.99 and it could save you thousands, and God knows how much stress and aggravation. As I said, there is a link to that in the video description. Now, if you want to see something that really winds me up and you're ever going to buy a used car ever again, you must watch this video. It's as simple as that. Go and check it out right now. See you next time.